Good afternoon. I'm Father Ken. Once again, I'm coming to all of those who follow us online from Jacksonville and Central Point and Shady Cove and the greater Medford area with a talk which really poses the question, trust in God or trust in man? The framing of this, the thought of this is coming from our first reading, especially from Jeremiah chapter 17. It's a portion of Jeremiah's writing that I think historical scripture scholars would say is a sign of the most primitive style of religious writing from Judeo-Christian roots. It is what is sometimes referred to as the two ways, the way of light and the way of darkness, or the way of good and the way of evil, the one who's blessed and the one who's cursed. You see this structure over and over again. And we see it here as the spiritual person is being talked about as a plant that's trying to grow. The classic image is one plant trying to grow in a wasteland. That's the one who's apart from God, who's trusting in the ways of man. And the other who is planted near a lush river, who is close to God, whose roots are drawing straight from the water source. And no matter what the season is, that plant is very strong and healthy. This is the sort of common image, and Jeremiah makes use of it. He said, "Cursed is the one who trusts in human beings, who seeks his strength in flesh, whose heart turns away from the Lord. He's like a barren bush in the desert that enjoys no change of season, but stands in a lava waste, a salt and empty earth. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, who hopes in the Lord. He's like a tree planted beside the waters, that stretches out its roots to the stream. It fears not the heat when it comes. Its leaves stay green. In the year of drought, it shows no distress, but still bears fruit." That's also the pattern of the first psalm, which is our psalm today. It says, "Blessed the man who follows not the counsel of the wicked, nor walks in the ways of sinners, nor sits in the company of the insolent, but delights in the law of the Lord and meditates on his law day and night. He's like a tree planted near running water that yields its fruit in due season and whose leaves never fade. Whatever he does prospers. Not so the wicked. Not so. They are like chaff, which the wind drives away. For the Lord watches over the way of the just, but the way of the wicked vanishes." You get the point, I think. Those are two just simple examples. But it's one of those kinds of messages, I would say, though simple, easier said than followed. Almost the entirety of the Old Testament, once the Jews make their exodus from Egypt and land in the Holy Land, almost the entirety of their struggles is related to this situation. For instance, even in the wilderness desert, God himself wanted to lead his people. Moses is the visual representative, but it's God who's leading the people as a column of fire by night and a column of smoke by day. He's the one who tells them when to move and when to stay. He's the one who desires to protect them from their enemies. He delivers them. He provides them food and water. It's what God wants. He said, "You will be my people and I will be your God." And as part of that intimate relationship, that covenant, I'm going to do my part. You just need to trust in me. But at every turn, they fail to do that. They prefer to trust in men rather than to trust in the Lord. And when they get to the promised land, he tells them yet again, don't intermingle with these Canaanite people. They're pagans. Because of their evil ways, they're losing this land, and I'm giving it to you. I will be your leader. I will be your king. And they say later in the era of Samuel, we don't want that. We don't want to be a people set apart, a holy nation, a royal priesthood. We want to have a sitting government like everybody else. Give us a king. And Saul is the fruit of that request. God is saddened by it, but he tells Samuel, don't be sad, Samuel. They're rejecting me, not you. And he tells them, this is going to bring suffering to you. And he tells the kings at various points too, don't trust in your chariots and charioteers. Don't trust in your gold. In fact, he even prescribes these things to be avoided by the kings. Don't build up cavalries. Don't build up great wealth. Those are signs that you're not relying on me, that you're going to solve your problems yourself. And ultimately, in the latter part of these royal dynasties, long past the golden age of King David and King Solomon, I describe the situation for the Jewish people kind of like if you can envision a barbell with a with a thin little bar in the middle and giant weight on either end. Imagine Israel as the bar. They're the skinny piece, the kind of weak piece. And throughout their history, they had a superpower on either side of them. To the south, it was always the same one. It was Egypt in North Africa. To the north, the empires went through seasons of change. There was, for a while, the Babylonians, there was the Assyrians, there were the Persians, there were the Greeks, there were the Romans. That changed as empire conquered empire. But the way that the Jewish people resolved their conflict when they felt under threat was not to turn to God in prayer or turn to him in faithfulness, to trust in the Lord with all their heart. No, they trusted in political treaties. So if they felt a threat from the north, they would turn to Egypt and say, deliver us. We'll be your friends. We'll be your sort of a servant nation to you. And we'll serve you. You can tax us. You can ask for supplies from us. If they felt a threat from the south, they would turn to the power in the north. And every time they did this, God characterized it like committing adultery. Like, we have this marriage. We're supposed to have this marriage. It's a spiritual union. But instead of staying faithful to me, you go in search of other lovers, always. And I'm going to be very blunt here, but sometimes there's an arrogance that we express without even realizing it at times. We think because we live 2,000 or 3,000 years later than these stories that we know well, that we're somehow 2,000 or 3,000 years smarter or 2,000 or 3,000 years more superior. We're not. In fact, to be very honest with you, I would say we're worse. We're far worse, I would even argue. Why? Because there was really no such thing as an atheist in the ancient world. It was more a question of which God do you favor, or which gods do you favor, which gods bless you and do you turn to when you're in trouble. There is a growing percentage of atheists today. And because of the Age of Enlightenment, we tend to treat the government or to treat science as our new God, as, science and technology will save us, will get us out of our problems. We see it hugely on display right now with the pandemic, with COVID, that scientists will save us, that some medical research will save us, that in the downturn of the economy, the government will save us. We're committing the very same thing, but we have even a smaller margin of space left over for the spiritual or for God. So we're definitely not any better. And the same saying applies to us. If we are going to continue to rely on man to save us, we're going to be sorely disappointed. We will be like a plant trying to grow in the desert. I have a new visual of this now because on my way back from Thanksgiving this year, just due to the time of the day and the weather and everything, I decided to take a different route home. Rather than the usual route driving on the I-5 down to Medford, I drove down the middle of the state in Oregon, and I got to see some parts of the state, honestly, I'd never seen before, including a major lava wasteland. I don't know how many tens of thousands or even millions of years ago it was that this great volcano erupted. But as you drive through, you can see this black obsidian wasteland of dried up lava. And you can see how torturous it still is for a plant to try and sink roots to split that volcanic glass apart and to try and find purchase and to find moisture to survive. Try to imagine that as a metaphor of your spiritual life if you are one who is constantly seeking the spirit of the world to solve your problems. It has never worked, and it's never going to work. And we keep making the same mistake over and over again. If our world is going to be healed, we eventually need to learn this lesson. That's the simple message of this week. We need to sink our spiritual roots. We need to turn back to God. It's the message every prophet has sent. Come back to me with all your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all ways be mindful of him, and he will make straight your path. The Lord wants to deliver us. And we should ask ourselves, if we've never experienced that delivery, have we even ever given God a chance to do it? You know, most people today, they turn to themselves first to solve their problems. They make of themselves a God, if you will. If that fails, very often people will turn to family or friends and ask for a favor. If that fails, maybe you go to the bank and seek a second mortgage, get a loan. If that fails, you try to do some research and see if you qualify for some federal program. And if the government fails and the banks fail and your friends fail and your family fails and you fail, then we turn to God. Our last plan. God does not want to be your last plan. God doesn't even want to be your plan B. He wants to be your plan A. Turn to the Lord first, and then see what we can do about being co-workers with him as we sink our labor into solving problems. We try to be led by him, that we're sinking our energy in the right place, that we're doing it in a way that's pleasing to him and not harmful to our own spirit or displeasing to him because it's immoral. Make a commitment to come back to God, to trust in him for answers, and you, my friends, will be richly blessed. God bless you.